I'm Jordann Hager. I am in Colorado right now with my husband and my puppy. I am a big fan and listener of the Big Wedding Planning podcast.
Hi, Jordann, and you're recently married.
I am, yeah. Our anniversary is actually on Monday.
It is?
It is our 1 year anniversary.
Wait a minute. Is that Valentine's Day?
It is.
Oh my God, that is so cute. So you'll never forget it.
Exactly. That was my husband. I was like, could we do it Valentine's Day? I was like, yeah, exactly. Because I'll either never forget it or I'll be in trouble for forgetting both.
Yes, there you go. So, Jordann, you've been listening to the podcast. How long would you say you've been listening to us?
So probably I should have listened before my wedding. But I had a wedding planner, so I was like, she can handle everything. And then she did amazing. But unfortunately, a lot of things, almost everything went not wrong, but differently than we planned. So I've been a listener probably for about 3 months now, just trying to really get more familiar with um, the advice and the planning that I probably should have thought about because all my friends are now getting married. I was the first one. So being able to help them with kind of the advice and real stories that you offer on the podcast.
Oh, that's great. And you said you're getting into the nonprofit. Did I hear you say that earlier?
Yes. So I worked in the children's hospital, absolutely loved it, but wanted to do more remote work. And so found a job working with a nonprofit that does incredible work for families and patients diagnosed with different neuromuscular diseases. So I will be able to do that from home while taking care of my puppy and just having some more freedom to kind of live a life that was hard to do during a pandemic working in a children's hospital.
Oh my gosh, I can imagine. Yeah. Okay, what kind of puppy?
He is a sheepadoodle, which is a sheepdog poodle mix. He is about 1.5. He's a ball of energy, but he's fun.
Oh my God. I have not heard of a sheepadoodle. I've been learning about so many doodles since I got my labradoodle, who's right here next to me, because if not, she'll bark throughout the house during the entire recording.
Same way. He just like keeps poking his nose through, so you might see like a tiny piece.
I want to see him. That is super cute. So I didn't know that those existed. They're really turning everything into a doodle now.
They really are. And my husband never had a dog his whole life, and I was dead set on owning one because we were big dog people growing up. And he was like, "Well, I just don't like that they shed. I don't know how I'll feel about it." And so really convinced him with the doodle because they don't shed. And then
yes,
we had never heard of a sheepadoodle, but was sold because they were like, "Oh yeah, what's the dog from Little Mermaid? Like mixed with a poodle. So it'll be super cute and it won't shed." So fell in love with him. And of course, my husband, not being a dog owner, was like, "Yeah, let's not have him on the couch. Let's not do this." And now he's our child and he's like, he does everything. He owns the house.
Oh my God, how cute. And how old is he?
He will turn 2 in May. So he's a little over 1.
Okay. Yeah. Polly just turned 2 last month. My puppy, my baby. Yeah. Hopefully she'll settle down in another year. Okay. So you wrote to me with just like the email was fantastic because as I mentioned, the beginning of the email was like all of these like terrible things that happened on your wedding day.
Yes.
And I was like, oh no. And I was thinking to myself, oh my God, this is going to end bad. But it ended on such a lovely, positive note that I was super impressed. I think that a lot of people would have seen that day as like a shit show or like it was ruined, like, and I feel like everybody has this idea in their mind that the wedding day is going to be perfect. And you all know, if you've been listening to me a long time, like I do not like the word perfect. I, by nature, I think I'm a very optimistic person. I have a feeling you are as well.
Yes. Oh yeah, totally.
Okay. I know that there are people that are not optimistic. And I think that that added with this societal pressure almost of, your wedding day has to be like amazing, can really ruin it for a lot of people.
Oh yeah, I had plenty of guests that attended that were just like, oh, I would have canceled. I would have rescheduled. I wouldn't have done this. And I said, people flew in. So for us, it was a destination wedding. My husband is military. He's from Minnesota. I'm from Texas. My family's in Texas. And we were like, we're getting married in February and we want it to be a little warm. Let's go to Texas. Obviously not Minnesota. Turned out there was the world's biggest ice storm that weekend. So really, it was freezing anyway, but our friends and family all flew in. And I was like, we can't cancel. People are here. We can't reschedule. We're just going to make this work. And so it turned out to be, I still hear from people saying it was one of the most like memorable, beautiful days. And it's a wedding story no one will ever forget, especially my husband and I. So it turned out to be incredible. But I was very stressed because I was like, everything has to be perfect. And then from the moment I woke up of the wedding day, I just knew like, okay, we're just going to roll with every punch thrown at us and make it work.
Good. Good. So yes, I remember that ice storm because a lot of people lost power, right?
Yeah, we were in, so we got married. It was a Sunday last year, Valentine's Day. And
2021.
Yes. And the following Monday, so the day after, we were in a rolling blackout. So every 30 minutes, the power would come on. Every 30 minutes, it would come off. And so everyone, I think it ended up being maybe like 40 or 50 people just because the weather was so bad and no one could really get there. But we had 50 people crash at our venue. And we had a huge sleepover with all of the wedding guests just because the ice was so bad. And so
Whoa.
50 people were in a rolling blackout for 3 days until anyone could get in their car and try to leave. So definitely a good bonding experience. But yeah, no power, no water, no anything for a couple of days. It was a bit insane.
Okay. Hang on a minute. Okay. This is one part I didn't know. I don't know if you wrote that in your email. But let's back up for just a second. So the wedding was February 14th, 2021 in Texas.
Yes, in Texas.
Your husband, Matt, right? Matt is from Texas.
I'm from Texas. He's from Minnesota.
Oh, never mind. He's from Minnesota. You're from Texas. How many guests were at the wedding?
So we invited, about 150 and originally 100 RSVP'd. But there were almost everyone was flying in or driving in. And with all the weather alerts, we had about 50 total with the wedding party and everyone.
Okay. All right. Yep. Okay. Well, yeah, there's so many factors involved there.
Oh, yeah.
And the venue is in Texas. What's the name of the venue?
It is the Cola Vista Mansion, and I just talked to the venue coordinator, Julie and Bobby, the other day, and they still are like, we tell your story to every bride that is worried that something's going to go wrong, and we use your story to let them know that everything was beautiful. And I'm like, yeah, thank you so much. Like, they were incredible. Like, we couldn't have survived the weekend without them, so I always rave about them.
Okay, what city are they in?
They're in Bastrop, Texas, which is about 30 minutes from Austin.
Oh my God, Bastrop.
Yes.
As in the fish, bass?
Like Bastrop.
Oh, Bastrop. Okay. All right. You can tell I've been to Texas, not. I should go to Texas. We have a lot of listeners in Texas, actually. That's one of the biggest cities in the US for us, for our, the peeps who are listening. Hi, Texas. Okay. All right. So huge ice storm. So I have to read this first paragraph of your email, and it starts, as someone planning for a wedding, you typically have nightmares of everything going wrong. For me, everything literally did go wrong. I guess that's what happens when you get married in Texas during the worst ice storm the state has ever seen. I mean, the pipes were freezing. I mean, people were going nuts. It was like they had never experienced any cold like this before, right?
Well, the airports didn't have de-icing gear, so every plane was grounded because the runway was ice. So when I say all of our guests were stuck, we were literally all stuck.
So the 50 people that made it in, I mean, what
Yes.
day did they fly in on? I mean, it must have been like a few days before.
So luckily we planned to get married on a 4-day weekend because my husband's military. All of our groomsmen were basically military. So they flew in. We got married Sunday. Most of them flew in or drove in that Friday.
Okay.
So we got super lucky. We also got lucky because one of the only vendors that made it was our catering. And that's because they catered our rehearsal dinner as well. So we didn't have a lot of things, but we did have food.
Oh my gosh,
Yes.
really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because even driving there, okay, I got you.
Yep.
Wow.
So we had some guests. So the mansion at Cola Vista is absolutely beautiful, and they also have like on-site housing for guests that are little cottages. So most of our guests stayed on site, but a couple stayed at a hotel. And the like buses we arranged to carry people to the wedding, he was like, "I'm sorry, but I can't get my bus out of the lot to pick up your guests." So we had people Ubering. We had my dad, he is a saint. He would go pick like 4 people up, slowly drive back. The like 5-minute drive took like an hour. Drive people back to the wedding. So we had a bit delay of a start, but
The
that was
people
like the
from the
least of my
hotel.
worries.
The people
Yes.
from the hotel. Okay, how far was the hotel again?
It was about 5 minutes, and it took my dad like an hour to shuttle people to the place and then back.
When did you know? I mean, like, at what point were you getting an alert that this ice storm was coming?
So Saturday, I got a lot of texts from people, and they said, we were planning to come. And like I said, everyone kind of flew in. My husband and I are from all over due to military. I went to school in Kansas, went to graduate school in Texas. And so a lot of my friends from Kansas were like, hey, apparently the weather's supposed to get bad. We're not coming. So Saturday, after the rehearsal dinner, I got a ton of text messages saying, like, we can't make it. Can you figure out a way to live stream and do it that way? So I'm like working with everyone possible to figure out a live stream. But I'm like, it's Texas. I feel like people are being kind of dramatic. Like, Texas has never been cold. I've never seen ice in Texas, never seen snow. So I was kind of like, well, that's kind of weird that no one's like, people are
Yeah.
canceling.
Yeah.
So I went to bed with that thought, like, oh, okay, maybe it'll get cold, but I can't imagine it'll be bad.
Did this start stressing you out though when you were getting all these text messages? Because I mean, you're in this frame of mind of like, I'm getting married tomorrow. I'm not really worried about the weather forecast. Like, I'm in Texas.
Exactly. I was kind of like, why are you texting me the day before my wedding to say you're not coming? Like, maybe you text after and be like, sorry, I missed it. Can't wait to see photos. And this sounds bad, but I was kind of just more annoyed
Yeah.
of like,
No, totally.
I would do anything to get there. So went to bed just kind of like, well, we'll see how many people come. And luckily, my husband is like the nicest man ever and the most supportive man ever. So he's like, people have to be safe. They have to think about their families. Like, let's think about it that way. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, you have all the good intentions, and I'm always like, worst case scenario. So went to bed with like good mind, happy heart, and luckily all my bridesmaids made it, all my siblings made it. Matt's sister made it, and so went to bed just really happy to see everyone. And then woke up the next morning, and my wedding planner was knocking on my door, and I just knew that something terrible was going to happen. And that's kind of where everything started going downhill.
Did your wedding planner stay on site at the venue?
Yes. So
Okay.
actually, it's a funny story, but my wedding planner was a close family friend my whole life. And actually, she's a couple years older than me, but she was my nanny growing up and then became this fantastic, amazing wedding planner. And so she was a close family friend. Her parents were close family friends. So it was kind of an interesting dynamic to plan a wedding with a professional planner who I also talk to every day as a family friend. But it
Yeah.
was nice to have that rapport and support when everything did kind of hit the fan,
Yeah.
because she was able to deliver it in a loving way, but also in an honest way that I knew I could trust, that she was kind of doing everything she could, but that it was going to be a rough day.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So you wake up, she's knocking on your door. What does
Mm-hmm.
she say? Who were you with, by the way? Were you with Matt or were you by yourself?
So Matt and I slept separately the night before the wedding. And so I slept with three of my bridesmaids. We all crammed into this huge, like, king size bed. Of course, stayed up way too late because we were too excited and just talked about everything. But I hear a knock at the door and I'm like, oh, it's kind of early because we were planning for a 6 p.m. ceremony. So we
Oh,
weren't
so
going to,
you did not have to wake up early.
no. And it was maybe like 6:37. And
Oh my God.
I'm not an early bird. Matt is, and he is incredible. Like, by the time I wake up, he's done like a 14-mile run and has made breakfast and coffee. And I'm like, I don't understand how you're functioning. But so I hear a knock on my door and I'm like, oh, maybe like it's my other bridesmaids that just want to come in. And I see her name's Amanda.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, so we have a little problem. I'm like, oh no. She's like, so, and she opens the door and everything is completely white. I can see ice everywhere of this parking lot of the little cottages we're staying at on site. I see like icicles hanging from the branches, everything. And I was like, oh no. She's like, so, um, almost everyone's canceled. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, the guests are here. And she's like, well, no one can drive, so your cake isn't coming. Your officiant can't make it through the weather. Your hair and makeup team is going to attempt, but it doesn't look promising. And that's about all the updates I have right now. I was like, oh, okay. So that's kind of how I started my morning. And luckily, my bridesmaids, and I have two older sisters who are the best people in the entire world. They're both married and they both had very different weddings. One was pretty extravagant and one was more intimate. And so they both had two different experiences that could really help me. And they were like, let's just get going. Let's get the day started and kind of see what happens from there. Because with the ice, things might be delayed. And I said, okay.
It
So
might melt.
Exactly. So everyone was like, it's going to be amazing. Best day ever. Let's just get started. And I'm like, okay. And so we go from the cottages to the main mansion venue. And that's when I talked to Julie. She's the venue coordinator. She's amazing. The mansion has been on the grounds for forever, and her husband run everything themselves. And so they were like, well, your alcohol was delivered, so we have alcohol.
Okay, good.
Okay. So they're like, so worst case scenario, you just like give people extra champagne, they forget about it. It'll be beautiful. And I'm like, okay, perfect. Like, my family's Italian. We can drink some champagne. We love wine. It'll be great. So my bridesmaids and I get to like the bridal suite, we start like making coffee, having mimosas because our hair and makeup team isn't there yet. So we're like, let's just hang out. Amanda comes in and she's like, so you might not have a wedding cake. I'm like, okay. She was like, as I said, like, they can't deliver it, but we don't have anyone that can go pick it up. And so the big surprise I had for Matt was a tradition in my family is having a groom's cake.
Yes.
And which some people had never heard of. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll just explain it. But his dream was like planning when we were making decisions on wedding cakes. He was like, can we just get like a cookie cake from Costco and call it good? And I'm like, as much as I would love that, no, we can't do that. So his groom's cake was like a multiple tiered cookie cake, and it was fantastic, amazing. And then the more like bridal weddingy cake was mirrored after my parents' wedding cake. So it was super special to me. And my dad and Bobby, one of the vendor coordinators, were like, okay, we're not going to not have these cakes. So how do we get to the wedding cake shop? And so Bobby had a huge truck and he said, I'm just going to try and make it. I think the wedding cake shop was 20 minutes from the venue, and it took him 3 hours round trip to get the cakes and bring them back. But like I said, they were fantastic. Absolutely went out of their way to do everything. And so we have the wedding cakes. And I was like, okay, if that's worst case, like,
we've got alcohol, we've got cake.
We have food because our caterer.
Oh, you already knew the caterer was going to be there. Okay, good. Okay. All right.
Exactly. So I'm like, okay, worst case, like, we have those things.
Yeah.
Everything will fall into place. So then Amanda comes to me, the wedding planner. She's like, so your hair and makeup team really tried to make it, but they spun out on the ice and they are now stranded on the side of the road in their
Oh,
car. And I'm like, okay, what do we do? And so I am extremely blessed. My best friend since first grade is a professional makeup artist. And of course,
boom.
she was at my wedding and and my big thing, planning the whole thing, everyone every day was like, is Maddie going to do your makeup? And I said, I don't want her to feel like she's working. So
Right.
I'm going to treat her. She's going to have her makeup done. Well, lo and behold, we had different plans. So she is a saint, and her and I, by no means am I professional, but I can like give a basic like foundation, eyelashes, blah, blah, blah. So her and I lined up, did all the bridesmaids, did my mom, did my grandma. We did the makeup of everyone.
How many bridesmaids?
7.
Oh my. Okay. That's a big wedding party. 7 bridesmaids and how many groomsmen?
7.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a Texas wedding, right?
It was a Texas wedding.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
when I
So,
was picking bridesmaids, my husband was like, are you sure we need 7? And like I said, I have 2 sisters. Matt has a sister. One of my sisters is married to a woman so she was in the wedding too.
yeah.
My sister-in-law, I'm like, okay, there's my family boxes checked. I still don't have any friends. So I
Yeah.
was like, sorry, Matt, we're just going to have 7 and call it good.
Yeah.
7's a lucky number.
7's a good
Turns
number.
Turns out we needed all the luck for our wedding day.
Yeah.
So yeah, 7 bridesmaids. Maddie and I did the makeup. Maddie did my makeup. She also did my grandmother, my mother-in-law, and my mom. So poor Maddie, I was like, you're gonna be so relaxed. She's like sweating, trying to get through everyone.
So between, how did she actually bring extra makeup, or did she just gather all the ladies' makeup up that she could find and use that?
That is a good question. I guess I left out a detail. So she travels with a pretty like substantial amount of makeup
Of
because
course.
even though I'm always like, I don't want you to do my makeup. I'm like, can you actually like
Just
help
in
me
case.
figure this out? So
Yeah.
she travels with a lot. But also my family, even like my distant family, is incredibly supportive. So my mom grew up with 3 sisters. All 3 of them were like, okay, what do you need from us? And Maddie was like, if you can make it to the store, maybe like some makeup brushes, some sets of eyelashes. So took them a couple hours, but they made it back. They bought like 7 curling irons, hair straighteners, every piece of makeup and hair item you might need. And
yeah.
just kind of pitched in like giving us a makeup brush if we needed it, or bobby pins and things like that. So everyone really rallied around me, which I think is why it made it easier to experience.
Yeah.
But so makeup was done, and then the hair thing was, I was like, I can't do hair. This is about the max that I can do. I can curl it with a wand, and that's all you get. So
Yeah.
I'm like, who do I know that can do hair that's here? And so Amanda, my wedding planner, her mom is a professional hairstylist.
Oh.
And like I said, they're family friends. So she's like, oh yeah, I can do everyone's hair. So poor Tiffany is doing, how many people would that be? So 8, like 12 people's hair.
Oh, geez.
And knocks it out. She does fantastic. And that's done. So I'm like, okay, worst case scenario, I didn't have professional makeup and hair in the way I hoped, but I mean, it was more intimate having my best friend since first grade do my makeup. And Tiffany, when we lived in the same town, would do my hair. And so I'm like, okay, that was kind of more intimate. This should be the last thing that goes wrong, right? Nope. So that happens. I feel all good. I get in my gown. I'm so excited.
What time is it by now?
So, and granted, we were supposed to start at 11 and be ready for a 6 o'clock ceremony. So we started at 7.
Oh, good.
And now it was probably 5 because that's how long it took for.
That's a lot of people for one person or 2 people.
Right.
Like, exactly. Yeah.
So it's about 5 and Amanda comes back in and she says, so your photographer has canceled. Okay. She's like, but she has a really good, close photographer friend that lives like down the street and is willing to come. And I'm like, okay,
yes.
Perfect. And then So Tara Lyons Photography, she was the original photographer, and she was like, I'll send my friend, but I'll still do all the editing in my style once I get the photos back. I was like, okay, perfect. So, but it's 5 p.m. on the wedding day, and he rushes over. He was amazing. Austin Stewart, fantastic. Like, the best personality to have around when everything goes wrong, because he was just like, let's get as much as we can. So I think I have like maybe 3 or 5 kind of like getting ready photos, and so does Matt. And then just some kind of like here and there shots
Yeah.
before the wedding. So then
Which is really nice, because did he get shots of like your best friend doing makeup and your wedding planner's mom doing hair, and like everybody chipping in and helping your village?
Yes, he did. And that was the one thing I wanted captured, was showing just kind of how everyone rallied around to be there.
Did you have florals, by the way? I didn't hear you talk about flowers.
That I forgot about that. I did have flowers. So they were delivered Friday, so a little early. I think they were just preparing for the storm. So they were all set. They were beautiful.
Like they delivered the centerpieces already made and put them in the refrigerator or something, or probably just somewhere that was cool.
Yeah. So the
okay,
mansion
good.
has like a huge refrigerator, huge kitchen. And so they had worked with the floral designer before, and she just kind of left them.
Good.
Like, the weather's bad, try and take care of these. So of course 3 days later, they weren't the most fresh, and they were still beautiful, incredibly amazing. They looked great in photos. But yeah,
okay,
florals,
so you had flowers. Good.
Yes.
Okay, check.
So 5 p.m. and Amanda comes back in. She's like, so your officiant can't make it.
Freaking Amanda, man.
I know, and I'm sure there's so much behind the
scenes.
This
killed her. Oh God, yes. That you didn't even know about, that she was putting out fires left and right.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure by the time she told me and had the solutions, she had known for a while and was like, we're not going to throw this at her until we have an answer.
Yes.
But I'm thinking, okay, well, how do you fix an officiant? It just doesn't. And she's like, but so Matt's sister, Courtney, she goes, Courtney's going to do it. And I'm like, Courtney who? I don't know any Courtneys. And she's like, no, Courtney, Matt's sister, your bridesmaid. And I'm like, she's not an officiant. She's like, well, she was ordained online. So she's going to do it. I said, okay. So
Amanda found the solution before she brought it to you, right?
Right. Like when people say, like, I don't know what wedding planners do. I'm like, okay, have a seat. I'm going to tell you this is what happened. And it was beautiful.
Yeah.
But so Courtney's going to do it. Stephen, our original officiant, he sent her his script. And Courtney is a fantastic public speaker. She went through a huge medical experience about a year before, which I can't go into, but now she does public speaking and is an author. So she was very well versed in public speaking. So I'm like, okay, perfect. That sounds good. And so Matt got to like formally ask her in a like really personal way. Amanda set that up, and she does everything. She's amazing. And so it actually turned out to be more special because about a year ago, kind of like I was saying, Matt's sister Courtney got diagnosed with a brain tumor that we weren't expecting at all. She was doing a residency in Thailand, kind of started having seizures and went to the hospital, got an MRI, and they were like, oh, well, we need to do a different MRI because of your tumor. And she was like, well, what tumor? So that's how she found out she had a brain tumor. And so for about a year, we weren't really sure what was going to come of it. But she is kind of like the real Wonder Woman. She finished her chief residency year doing chemo, radiation. She had 2 brain tumor surgeries, and now is a family practice doctor, has written a book about her story, and is doing fantastic, has had clear scans. But it was kind of a frightening thing. She was, I'm going to get this wrong. Sorry, Courtney. I know I've listened to your story so many times, but I think she was 29 at the time. So when you're 29 in a foreign country, Matt gets a call like, so your sister has a brain tumor. And we kind of were like, well, we don't know what to do. So we were engaged. We kind of planned a wedding within 9 months because we're like, we need to do this because we don't know
Yeah.
what history could look like. Matt's sister and my sisters, like I said, they're all incredible, but Courtney, obviously from her story, is very, very special. And so we wanted to kind of, before we knew the prognosis, make sure she was there. And she turned out to be a rock star. And of course, she's doing fantastic. But having her be the officiant was just kind of like the cherry on top, because from a situation of turmoil that we didn't know was going to happen, and then having her be there and be so healthy and so present, just kind of made it all come together and just be the fantastic day it was.
It's awesome. That's so great. Yay. Okay, so we got our hair and makeup done. We've got a photographer. We've got an amazing, beautiful, heartwarming story and an officiant.
Yes.
Florals were there from the get-go, so we're good there. Venue manager and dad went and picked up those insanely awesome cakes.
Yep.
And the caterer was there already, so we're good to go with food and alcohol.
Yes. And so we did a DJ instead of a live band, and he came the day before as well.
Oh,
he was fantastic.
Did he stay overnight?
He did. So
why?
He works with the venue a lot, but he came early and said, I think the weather's supposed to get bad, so I'm going to come a day early.
Oh, perfect.
The venue was like, okay, cool. That sounds good. And we all kind of were like, wow, that's weird. Like, why would you come a day early? I don't think the weather's going to get that bad. Back to like the first day mindset where I'm like, but he did amazing and he was there. So we had music. So really you had everything you needed, right?
Yes.
So yes. The wedding starts. My cousin, Justin, he is.
What about ceremony music? What was ceremony music? DJ?
Yes.
Okay. Good.
And so had ceremony music. My cousin Justin figured out how to do a live stream for the people that couldn't attend. So
yay!
So we had live stream going. We really had everything, even though every single thing before that moment had gone wrong. I get a knock on the door. I think it's probably like 6:30, 6:45, because like I said, my dad, he is a saint. He was chauffeuring people to and from the venue from the hotels that were staying there. And so had to wait for him to get back, obviously, to walk me down the aisle. So at 6:30, he's like, all right, I think we're going to go. And I'm like, I honestly, like, I had the best support system and knew that it could be done. But after every knock on the door by Amanda, I was like, okay, we're going to have to cancel.
Amanda knock on the door. But you know what? And Amanda might be listening to this going, come on, man. I'm a wedding planner, Amanda. I totally get it. And I know that she was amazing and like probably took on so much that you could have freaked out about. And had the solution before she came to you. And yes, like hands down, people, it's what we do as wedding planners. And Amanda, girl, good for you. Good for you. You saved the day. I do have a question for you, Jordann. And because recently I got, I threw out like on Instagram, like, hey, anybody have wedding planning questions? And I get so many great questions. And one of them just was a simple, how do I keep my anxiety down on my wedding day or the wedding weekend? I mean, that could mean a whole slew of things. It could be somebody who, but I think about you and I think about all these hours that you knew that shit was hitting the fan. And I wonder what you did in all those hours. Cause I mean, clearly, obviously you're doing helping with hair and makeup and all that, but like, were you talking to anybody? Were you doing anything? Did you feel stressed out? Like, how were you feeling?
Ooh, that is a good question. And I'm not one of those, like, this seems like I'm super chill and relaxed. No, like I am very type A. My friends make fun of me because I'm always organized, always have a checklist. Since I was like 5, have been planning a wedding and ideas in my head. So I wasn't one of those girls that was like, oh yeah, like it'll be fine. It's just one of those days. I'm very high strung, honestly. And so I expected to be in shambles, honestly. If someone would have told me before the day of that this was how my wedding was going to be, I think I would have been terrified. But luckily, the big advice I tell people is marry your best friend. And so Matt and I didn't see each other, but we had communication, phone calls, or between Amanda, and he was like, you know what? This can keep going wrong, but at the end of the day, we're getting married, and that's the most important thing. So even though I was very stressed, I think having that little communication with him, and then also having people I loved being the ones doing everything, like doing my hair, doing my makeup, it made it easier for me to feel at ease than if it was a stranger and I'm like, oh, I don't want to tell her, like I'm stressed because all this is happening. And so it made it easier for me to vent. And then I'm one of those people, like I said, very type A. So I'm like, okay, this is wrong. How do we fix it? And I could talk it over with 10 of my closest friends and loved ones. And so that really helped keep me calm. And so I I feel like, and so many people are like, I can't believe that was you. Like, I don't know who you were that day. And I'm like, honestly, I don't know. Because when I think about it, it felt completely different than who I am if I'm planning an event or planning a birthday party and everything goes wrong, you know? But I think I kind of just felt at ease knowing that no matter what happened, I was going to be marrying my best friend, and having everyone of my family and his family there really made it special. So I really wasn't as stressed as I thought I was going to be. I kind of just felt like a sense of peace through it all.
And I think that's, that says so much. Um, and we say this all the time on the podcast, like, no matter what happens, like the goal is to get married, like, and so you knew that you're like, it doesn't really matter what happens. Like, we're getting married.
Yep.
Like that's the point of this entire, all the planning, all the money, all the friggin' everything. The point is to get married. And I think that's beautiful that, you're a planner, you're type A, but you never, ever throughout your planning journey lost that idea, nor was it, that was always the top of the list, is that I'm going to marry my best friend. I'm going to marry this guy that I love. And that's all that matters.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, like if you look at a checklist, the last thing is get married. So I didn't check anything else off that day, but I was like, I get to check this off. So, and I think that it's easy to lose sight of that because a wedding feels, sometimes planning for me felt like I was planning for other people. Because I think it's easy to get lost in that thought, so many people are coming, you want everyone to have a good time, have so much fun, really just like experience the day that they're traveling in for. But at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? I'm getting married. My family's here. My friends are here. I don't have an officiant. I don't have a professional hair and makeup artist. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be walking down the aisle and seeing Matt there. And that kind of was the best part of the day, obviously. I mean, just seeing him, and he was like, I like your dress. And like the cutest little, like under his breath. And I was like, okay, this made it all worth it.
I like your dress. I like it. That's nice. That's really cute.
Yeah.
Is that like... Okay, wait. So why didn't you had never planned to see him. You didn't want to do a first look. Like you were going to see him for the first time that day going down the aisle.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And you never detoured from that for one moment. You don't think if you would have been like, fuck it, I need to see you, I need a hug, like it would have helped? Or you were just like, no, we don't need to see each other?
That is a good question. I think there was just so much going on that it didn't even cross my mind. And just like, we're a military couple. And so like he was deployed at once, and we communicated only on phones, and phone calls and texting. So to me, hearing his voice, even just not even having to see him, is just like such a relief and such a sense of calm for me.
That's a good point.
When he called me, I was like, oh, okay, like we're going to be fine. Like when I heard voice messages, or like he would write a note to Amanda and give it to me, that's all I needed. And I was like, you know what?
Aww.
Everything went differently. We're going to keep up this one tradition that I want.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. That makes total sense. And that's true. I mean, a military couple, you all are used to going long amounts of time not being together and keeping that connection, which is not an easy thing to do. So that makes complete sense. And you really did have, you had 7 bridesmaids, but it seems like they're all women who are supportive of you, and close to you. And that has to make all the difference as well.
It does. And that was a big thing to me, was who can I picture by my side that I absolutely knew would be the most supportive. And so, like I said, I have a big family. So, four sisters in total. And then my best friend since first grade, two really close friends that I met in college. And I really think that's what made the difference of me losing my shit, honestly, or not, was even though they probably didn't think it, they were like, it's still the best day ever. We're having so much fun. Like, how cool is it? You get to have your hair and makeup done by people you love. And I'm like, okay, yeah, like I can kind of get into this. And so
Let's
with
open another bottle of champagne.
exactly. I'm like, oh, okay. So they really helped me in every way possible. And I have so many friends now planning their wedding. Like, how did you narrow down your bridesmaids? And I'm like, well, think back to my wedding. Now, if this was your wedding, who could you not picture with you, like helping you get through it? And so
Oh,
I was
yes.
very lucky.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's your forever going to be your advice to anyone
Yep.
getting married. Like, just think about the worst case scenario. Would all of those women be a positive kind of reinforcement in your life at that time when you need it? Would they
Exactly.
be who you want to be with?
Mm-hmm.
This is how you decide your wedding party.
Yep. And somehow I still had 7. So
Yeah, you're lucky. Um, well, this is so good. I think that, as I said in the beginning, the fact that you had your tribe, that you kept your cool, that you stayed positive. So not so much, maybe you aren't always that optimistic person, like we said in the beginning, but in this, but you being that type A, and being a planner, and you having a wedding planner, I think was a huge part of this. Huge.
yes.
Also a venue. And I'm going to be doing another episode on venues, and I've done YouTube videos about venues. A venue that has the option of overnight guest rooms is so great, and it's so helpful that you were already there, that your DJ knows the venue so well, and this venue is so awesome, and the people who run it are so awesome, that they're like, sure, come stay the night before, no biggie. Or they have this huge fridge, and they have all these resources, is such a plus.
And so many people talk about Texas hospitality, and that
Yeah.
is absolutely a thing. So, like I said a little bit at the beginning, we were in rolling blackouts for a couple of days, and Julie and Bobby, the venue coordinators, not only did they make sure we had enough blankets, but they brought out like a charcoal grill and cooked us food those 3 days. They cooked us
Oh,
breakfast, lunch, and dinner, like made sure we had everything. And they were like, don't worry about any fees. Don't worry about this. We just want to make sure you guys are safe. This is
yeah.
crazy. And like I said, having those people, I think a lot of people at venues are like, okay, what's the nicest? What's the fanciest? But when I met them, they were just so passionate about not only their brides and their grooms, but just like making sure everyone felt kind of like the family atmosphere, that I absolutely knew that was the venue that I wanted.
Yeah. No, that's great. And there weren't any blackouts on that Sunday, right? Because I
No.
was I was like, do they have a generator?
No blackouts on the Sunday. Luckily, it started the next morning.
Okay, good. Well, there you go. There you go. Um, I just love this story, and I think that it was meant to be, and I'm happy for you. I'm so happy for you, and I love that your anniversary is on Valentine's Day, because that actually makes Valentine's Day special, because Valentine's Day is just like, it's such a it's what is it? What is it? What is Valentine's Day? It's not, but for you, it's your anniversary. So I
It's so
love that.
exciting. And now I just convinced myself that the whole world is celebrating.
That's right. I'll be celebrating you on Valentine's Day when I drink my
Thank you.
champagne. Yeah. Okay, great. I think that was just a great episode, and I love your story, and I'm happy for you, and happy anniversary. Tell Matt I said happy anniversary.
I will.
And we will make sure to link to your venue, your wedding planner, everybody that you mentioned. Big shout out to your bridesmaids and everyone who helped you out. You all are awesome. You did a good thing, and I'm very proud of you all. If that means anything to them, they're like, I don't know who the hell you are, but okay. Jordann, thank you so much for writing to me and for sharing your story. I think it's going to be a really big help to a lot of people, even if it's just a kind of like reminder to just like realize that shit can happen. And that is what, life is all about and being a human is all about.
Yep.
And pick and choose a really good wedding party that you would actually want around you if there was a snowstorm on your wedding day and everything went wrong.
Yep, everything went wrong. Just that's
Ice
how
storm.
I think about it.
Everything went wrong, but it all went right. And it all went the way it actually was meant to happen, despite all your planning.
Exactly. And I still hear from wedding guests that are like, I'll never forget your wedding. I have a cousin who is like, she's kind of like Carrie Bradshaw in Sex and the City, lives in Chicago.
I love her.
The most fashionable person ever. And she was like, honestly, I've been to $1 million weddings and yours was the most beautiful, intimate. And I'm like, Allie, I think you're just saying that, but thank you. So everything can go wrong, but it'll still be the best day ever. And you're marrying your best friend, which is the most important thing.
I can't wait to see your photos.
Oh, yeah, I need to send you more. I think I sent you a couple.
Yeah.
And then Matt and I are actually getting like a Valentine's Day couple shoot done this weekend because since Austin, who is a great photographer, but he had to come so late in the day, we have I shouldn't say no, we have like 1 or 2 bridal portraits, but that's about it. So we wanted like some of just us two. So we're going to get those done, which will be good.
Oh, what are you going to wear?
That's a good question. I don't know. We were going to do wedding attire.
Yeah.
Since we didn't get bridal portraits, but my gown's in Texas, everything, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to go through like a huge thing again. So we're just going to do like a fun couple shoot with our dog and just like relive the day.
Yeah. Cute. Did you have an engagement session with your original photographer beforehand?
So when Matt proposed, I had just graduated graduate school and he was like, oh, I set up a photo shoot for you in your cap and gown. And so you can have some nice photos to send to your family. Because COVID times, I had to graduate like on the computer for my master's program. And so he proposed to me at that photo shoot. So our engagement shoot and what we put on our save the dates and everything, we have those with just a great photographer who was in Kansas where we were living at the time, but we didn't have any done with our wedding photographer.
Oh my God, how cute. What a great idea that he did that.
He's a genius. Sometimes it's annoying because he's good at everything, but
damn you, Matt. Damn you. No, I like this idea though, that you'll take photos with your puppy and the two of you. Yeah, this is good.
One day we're going to do wedding portraits, I hope. It's just kind of hard with planning around the military, planning how to get my dress here. Like we rented from Black Tux for him. So like getting him a tux. But one day we will get formal bridal portraits. My poor mom is like, that's all I wanted. Like,
okay. But I bet your photos are freaking awesome.
They are. Matt and I have one outside because it was snowing by the end of our wedding. So we have one outside with like the veil and the snow. It's beautiful.
I love it. I love it. Jordann, you're so lovely. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you coming on and telling your story. And I'm really happy for you.
Thank you. You're so welcome. I've had so much fun.
Yay. All right.
All right.